Hi, my name is Kevin Furman, and you are looking at Percussion Olympics, and we're going to talk about auxiliary equipment today, one of which being the crash cymbals. So crash cymbals are a very expressive instrument, very loud, they can be certainly obnoxious, and many times can be played kind of poorly without really realizing it. Because they are so loud, they've got just a, obvious crash to them. Knowing what a good sound can be difficult at times. So what I'm going to show you is, one, how to hold them, and then how to do some basic sounds, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to take care of them. So crash cymbals, each one of these is usually called a plate in the cymbal world. So these are plates, and there's two main styles of holding the cymbals. One is the concert style, and one is the marching style. There are tons of variations on this, and I am not telling you any one right way or wrong way. I'm just showing you a way that's simple. It's definitely used commonly. It's not obscure or anything. And then I also don't think that I'm an expert by any means in the cymbal world. I'm not known as a cymbalist in either the concert or marching world, but I've been around it long enough to know the basics really well and beyond the basics too. But we're just going to cover basics today. All right, so how to hold the cymbals in a concert setting is a lot like grabbing a stick the right way. So if you're not sure about that, check out the how to hold a stick videos. But what I do is I tend to think of it as like if this were the stick, I would grab it, right at the end, right near the cymbal, with my thumb and my first finger across from each other like I would a stick, and then I grab on to the cymbal with these the strap, that is, with my back three fingers. So then I let it hang over my fingers. So I more or less am grabbing it like a stick and then just letting it hang in my hand. So again, grab it like a stick, I just pick it up. So pretty simple in that sense. So I don't have to do anything fancy. There's no real, have to do it a certain way per se, but that's really quick. So, if you need to grab them quickly, you can just grab on, boom, you're ready to go. So that's the large reason why I'm going down that road. Okay, the marching way of holding cymbals is putting your hand through the strap or into the strap. And that's so that we have more control. There's a lot more visually driven things in the marching world for cymbals. In the concert world, it's more just about sound. It's not really about you visually making a big, statement. But in the marching world, it can be. So we want to give you a little more control and make sure that you can do what we need you to do visually. So the way that that's normally done, again, this is not the only way, is you think of, okay, so you got your strap, right? It's like this. You put your hand through it. Okay, so I'm putting my hand through the strap. Then what I do is I turn my hand so my thumb is pointing down towards the cymbal. Okay, so it looks like that. And then I'll turn my hand just a quarter turn more so my palm is kind of upward somewhat. Right, so I've got this, I've sort of got the space in between my thumb and my first finger. That's actually where the strap is going to go. Okay, so again, my hand goes through the strap, point my thumb down, and then put the strap here. So it should go around your wrist and then between your thumb and your first finger. And just kind of hangs on your hand. Now, this strap is a tiny bit small for my hand, but it's close. That gives me a ton of control over where the plates go and what I can do with it. And you don't necessarily need to grab onto the cymbal. It's kind of part of your hand at this point. So, same with the left hand. This is my right. So left hand, cymbal in, thumb down, turn another quarter degree, and then it's up over my hand. So there you go. You got this style, which is more the marching style. So again, you can have more control over the plates, put them where you want them at all times. And then you have the concert style. Now I'm going to move back to concert style, just because, and talk about sounds. So basic sounds of the cymbal in the concert band setting or orchestra really come down to kind of two different things. There aren't a whole lot. There's a few variations, but not a whole lot. Now, the way I'm going to show you how to make a basic crash sound is one way. If you ask about 20 people, you're going to get 20 or 30 different ways to crash cymbals. I do not believe my way is the best way, nor is it the worst way. It's a way that eliminates variables, meaning there's less chance for you to make a mistake with this way of thinking. So that's really the main reason why I'm going to teach it that way. So what I do, I tend to think of, now I'm right-handed, so I tend to think of my right hand as like the main hand. My left hand is not secondary, but it's not the main hand, if you will. So what I tend to do is I'll hold the cymbal pretty much vertically, maybe a tiny bit slanted, outward. That's my left hand, and I'll hold it steady. Okay, and while I'm going to be playing, this one does not move. I actually just move one cymbal into the other. Now, there's tons of things that are not this way as far as cymbal crashing. I know there's this way, there's this way, there's this way. All kinds of, you can come up with lots of variations, of many of which are awesome. So this is a good basic crash that gets you the right sound without missing, without getting a clunky sound and all that stuff. So a good sound for a cymbal is a nice even crash. Okay, so it would sound like this. Good basic crash, nothing fancy. What you want to avoid is like the clunky attack. So if you hit them really hard straight on, you get a really harsh attack and they don't fully ring. So you don't get that full crashing sound. You just sort of a clang. So you don't want the clangy sound. Also, if you hit them just right, where the cymbals actually are exactly in line, it might take me a few tries. You'll get this kind of poof of air trying to get out at the wrong time. Like there's a couple in there. We're kind of poofy, right? So you don't want that sound either. So to avoid that, there's a couple things. One, again, just hold one in place, and then the other one, actually aim below center of the other. So I'm not trying to aim like this. I'm actually aiming below center. The other thing that I'll do is I'll have the top of the cymbal hit first, and then the rest of the cymbal. If you hit it all at once, you get that clangy kind of sound again. If you do sort of what I would consider as like a flam type attack, i.e. the top hits and then the bottom hits almost right away, you get a full crash. Okay? Again, there's tons of variations, there's lots of follow-through ideas, but that will get you, if you need to play a crash, that will definitely do it, and it'll sound decent. Now, if you need a soft crash, right, just don't move the cymbal very far. If you need a really loud crash, go ahead and move it. Right? So it all depends on context and as far as that goes, as far as how much you hit the cymbals together. And that's a volume thing. All right, another thing you're going to want to do is make a short crash. So what we would call a crash choke in a lot of circles in the cymbal world. So crash choke, there's a couple ways to do it. I recommend this way. So I'm going to do it on my side so you can really see what I'm doing here. And that is you crash, and then you're going to pull the plates to your side like this. So you're actually going to kind of put them on your side. Not into your side, but on your side. Okay, that gets rid of all the sound of the cymbal really quickly. Right? Now, it may seem quicker and or, quote, better if you just dampen into your body, like this. This is a common way to explain it, like either into your armpit, if you will, like your shoulder, or your chest, whatever, or your stomach. There's a couple reasons. One, I don't like that way. One, it hurts if you're going really fast and trying to play loud and dampen them really hard. That hurts. You're digging into your flesh, and I'm not a big fan of that one. The other thing is it actually doesn't dampen as well as on the side. I'll show you. So here's to the shoulder. Okay, now here's to the side. So it dampens actually more fully and even quicker if you go to your side. So I would highly recommend thinking that. And plus, you know, if it seems, quote, hard, if you notice I'm holding my cymbals up here and not really low, right? I'm holding them up here, crash, and then I'm pulling them down. Gravity's working with you, so you can use gravity advantage, crash, and pull down real quick. You can get that really fast. So those are the basic sounds in the concert setting. One other one that does come up semi-rarely is the forte piano crash. So on this recording, you may not be able to hear much of a difference, but it is a big difference in the band. What you do is you crash normally, you dampen one. I tend to dampen my right hand because I'm quicker, theoretically, with it. And the other one I'm going to kind of lower, right? I'll kind of put here so the sound goes into the bodies of the band as opposed to over the bodies of the band, which, by the way, is why I'm holding up tall. Or up high. So what I'll do is I'll crash, dampen, and hold this one low. And that gives me this forte piano, but it's still ringing. And that's where the piano part comes in. So it sounds like this. And you cut it off where you need to cut it off. So again, on this recording, it may not come across as well as it does in real life. but that's a pretty effective way to do a forte piano crash. All right, in the marching world, there are other sounds that are really common. They are the smash, which is this. Okay, which is you attack it just like a crash. You push them together very strong, very quick. Get a short, quick, heavy sound. It's usually denoted with a marcato accent. Hi-hat is another one. A hi-hat sound is this kind of thing. This is something you rarely will use in concert band. Sometimes people will notate them the same way, but in concert band you don't really ever use that sound. It's usually meaning crashes. So be careful, make sure you're interpreting things okay. So that's the hi-hat, right? Like that. Then you've got the slide choke. Okay, which is really, I'm doing this. Okay, it's a simplified version of a slide choke. And I guess the only other one I can think of right now that would be important to know is, not the only one, but the one that's most important, is the zing. A couple different ways to do it. There's that way, there's this way. Okay, so what you're doing is you're scraping one edge, the edge of one cymbal on the inside of the other. Right, so you're kind of doing that. And you can do it with a flare. Right, do things like that. So those are the basic sounds for cymbals. As far as taking care of them, when you're using them, they can be put on a tray stand like this one. A lot of times they'll be in a stand where they'll be sitting up like this. That's actually ideal. When you store cymbals, I would store them kind of nested like that, upright. That way they won't get flattened out by gravity. You know, things pressing on them, they won't flatten out and change the sound. This is a little bit better for them. So obviously you want to take care of them. The more you can not touch them, the less they'll oxidize. These have been touched a lot and they're beginning to oxidize. So it doesn't matter a whole lot. Some people like when cymbals are old, they have a different kind of sound to them. Some people like them nice and shiny. So either way, if you get a pair of nice cymbals, like these are, you can have a good sound no matter what you got. Okay, there are your basics for cymbals. And there are plenty of other videos on the auxiliary world, so go check those out. Thanks again for checking out the Percussion Olympics. If you have any questions, just reach me, get a hold of me. I'm pretty easy to find. All right, we'll see you around.